Welcome to another Whip It Up Wednesday. Today I'm going to make one of my favorite soups from childhood. To be more exact, it's a soup version of one of my favorite childhood dishes. When we were kids, we often had goulash. Now, I have since learned that this is sometimes called American goulash and sometimes it's called American chop suey. But whatever it was good. And it's one of those dishes that exemplifies versatile. If you don't eat meat, leave the meat out. If you only eat a certain type of meat, use that meat. Turkey, for instance, instead of ground beef. Use what vegetables you have on hand. We always had green bell peppers and onion in ours at home. And I'm using that here, but I'm also adding red bell peppers. Tomatoes can be fresh. They can be ones that you've canned. They can be commercially canned ones. Use whatever pasta you like, though we used macaroni. Unfortunately, when I had to change my eating habits last year, I thought it meant I didn't have to eat pasta, or I couldn't eat pasta at all, which meant I couldn't have my beloved goulash, which, incidentally, is very good cold as well as hot. But turning it into a soup, you can use much less pasta, which is what I'm going to do here. And you can actually use or make the goulash in a crock pot, just don't add all the liquid that I add. So we're going to start with 8 ounces of lean ground beef. Now, this is lean, so I didn't cook it or brown it. If you prefer, you can brown it, or if it's a little fattier than you would like. But this is, I think it's a 90 or 93, so it's fairly lean, so I'm not going to bother with cooking it first, especially since I'm lazy. Okay. In here, we have green bell peppers, red bell peppers, and onion. The green bell peppers are dehydrated peppers. So I'm taking advantage of my dehydrated pantry as well. Any juice that's in there, just go ahead and throw it in because it makes it good. Now, in here, we have the tomato products. Let's see. Okay. Whoops. I'm using a jar of, sorry about that glare. We have absolutely no sun, so it must be coming from the light. So you can either see this or not, but I forgive the glare. I'm using a jar of Italian-style tomato sauce that I made and canned this year, as well as a can of chopped tomatoes. Now these are chopped tomatoes from the store. I bought several of them. I really don't care for them, so I'm trying to use them up in things that I know I like. Also in here is a tablespoon of tomato powder, because I try to put it in everything, and 2 cups of beef stock. Again, if you don't want to use meat, you can use a vegetable stock. If you'd rather not use beef, you can use chicken, even if you're using chicken or beef in your dish. It doesn't really matter. You can use water if you want, but my water's not flavored, so I tend not to use it straight. Just pour it in here and try not to make a mess. Oops, you can't see what's going on, can you? Okay, let's see here. This is real exciting. I know you don't want to miss this. I'm scraping out the bowl. Okay. As for spices and herbs, again, use what you like. Mom always kept her goulash fairly plain because Dad didn't like a lot of spice. So it was usually onion powder, garlic powder, and salt and pepper. I have there is Italian seasoning in the Italian sauce, but I'm also adding a little more Italian seasoning as well as some garlic powder and a little bit of paprika. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Now, I will be adding pasta at, probably when there's about another hour. I'm going to be using rotini because that's what I have. I'm only using, if you're concerned about your carbs, according to the box, one serving, 56 grams, which is what this is, has 41 grams of carbohydrates. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it's more than I usually have in a meal, but I'm also not going to eat the whole thing in one sitting. At least I better not. So by having it in a soup version, you're probably going to be less inclined to eat a lot of the pasta because there's a lot of other things in here too. I will be checking on it occasionally for water level because I did use the powder, and I normally don't use tomato powder, but I did this time. So I will be checking the thickness because I want it a soup consistency. I don't want it to be like the goulash that Mom used to make, though that was mighty good. I also will be serving it with cheese. I haven't decided, though, if it's going to be Parmesan or mozzarella. So I'll bring you back when it's finished, and we can plate it up. See you later. Oh, I thought I'd show you what it looks like in the bowl. It looks so good. Now, I kind of wish I had some black olives, but unfortunately I don't. So we'll have to go without olives this time. Oh, dinner is going to be so good. Look at this. As you can see, most of the veggies have maintained their structure. And let's see if I can find a noodle. Oh, there's one. They're not mushy. They cooked in there, maybe about 45 minutes or so on low. The whole process took about 4 hours. Like a lot of your contemporary slow cookers, Dot runs a little warm, so or a little hot, let's put it that way. So it doesn't take as long as you might think. I did start it on low and then turned it to high and then turned it back to low when I added the noodles. Now, I think I've decided to have it with mozzarella cheese, but I won't know for sure until I actually sit down. And by the way, this is not my spoon to eat with. I did add, probably another cup and a half of water after it had been cooking for about, I'd say 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I added more water. It was just a little thicker than I wanted it for a soup. And I knew that the noodles, even though I wasn't using a lot of them, they would still take up some of the water. And I can tell you that having to sit here and work while this cooked all day should be called cruel and unusual punishment. I hope you give it a try. I'll post in the comment section a link to the recipe. It'll be on my blog. And feel free to try it. And remember, adjust it to your tastes and your preferences. Mine are just suggestions. See you next week.